Phil and I met because we're both from the same part of the UK. When I started racing, and before I became a professional in 1977, Phil was the guest of honor at my cycling club dinner, and he presented the prizes. And the following year, I was a professional in the Fiat team, and I rode the Tour de France in my first year. And Phil and I got on very well together because we're originally from the same part of the UK. Throughout my cycling career, from 78 to 87, we got on very well and talked, because, you know, as an English journalist, he only had to talk to me because there were no other English cyclists. So when Channel 4 from England was starting to get involved with cycling and found that, you know, they wanted to up their coverage, I was about to retire from European racing in 1985. In 1986, Channel 4 were going to do a big coverage, and Phil said, whatever you do, even if you race for a couple more years, just make sure that you're not going to race in July. I'd like to have you race talking alongside me about the race, because I speak fluent French, and they thought that was a good plus to be able to talk to the riders at the end of the races, and being a bit of a linguist, it was a help. And I thought that would be great to be able to commentate with Phil Liggett for a year. That became 2, that became 3. It's now 27 years that we've actually commentated together. The biggest one, of course, is the Tour de France, which is the biggest and the best. But it's looking now like the Amgen Tour of California and the USA Pro Challenge here in Colorado are becoming great races. And I've also heard the rumors that a lot of the bike riders here are saying, you know, well, when are we going to have a US Grand Tour? When you look at the backdrop of Colorado, I'd never been to Colorado until last year. Some idiot said to me, will you come to Colorado for the afternoon for the launch of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, as it was called last year? I flew all the way from Uganda to meet the former governor, who's still very, very passionate about this race. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but when I came for the event and I saw the countryside and I saw the state and the beauty, I suddenly understood. Actually, I only understood this year why Bob Roll lives in Durango. It's a great place. It's a wild place. Ron I've known for years and years, but I never had the opportunity to come to Colorado. And as Phil has said many, many times through the coverage this week, I think the state of Colorado was made for bike racing. We're starting to get into the situation now with the NBC coming in that we do have a group behind us who do a lot of research, but we don't trust them. And Phil every day puts together all the results, and we have a spreadsheet which is 700, 800 riders strong of all of their performances, little anecdotes about their family, little anecdotes about the name of their dog, and we do our own stuff. I'm a bit of a history buff. I mean, somebody says to me, bloody hell, you know more about Durango than we know in Colorado. Because I like it, it's interesting, and I like to be able to. And I never feel, and Ron and I have commentated together, I don't like to feel that I'm commentating to the cycling fans, because there's 50,000 to 100,000. I like to be commentating to your mum. I like to be commentating to Ron's dad. I like to be commentating to a little old lady down the street who says, wow, this cycling's good, but wasn't that chateau fantastic? And the story about it getting taken over by the Gestapo in the Second World War, forget about the Second World War. But I mean, the great thing about our sport, and I think that's why Colorado is such a great backdrop, is here, okay, the history in Colorado is only 150, 180 years old, but there is stories. I mean, I was talking about Wyatt Earp and Billy the Kid, and people in Europe, they know those stories, and it's great for them to say, well, you know, these guys were camped out here. They were camped out in Colorado. I like to try and put that across in a commentary to pull in the people who are outside the pure cycling buffs. So hopefully that gets across.
You know, I'm surprised that we didn't hear any questions about Bob Roll. You know, he was talking about stories, and just as a closing thought, Bob Roll used to tell all the Europeans that he lived in a teepee, and they believed him. So now they get to see this whole picture of what Colorado is really like, and it's great that we get to share it with the world.